So we will build a blog that will display our shop categories, and we can reuse an element we have on product list. Down here we have a section that displays categories, and to make things simple we can just reuse this. So let's select the section and copy, then go to blocks, and let's go build maybe here. So I will alt click on this collapse to collapse the whole level, and I'll select it here and I will paste the section like below this element. Let's select it and collapse the panel. So here we have show categories action that shows subcategories, and in this case let's see what happens. What options do we have? So we can list all categories, subcategories, or list IDs. And I guess for us the best, maybe the most useful, I guess, would be to list subcategories, and then here we have parent ID. So if we put 0, then this will list like the top categories, the top level of categories, and that's probably what we want, right? So let's go with this. Let's start with this. So okay, what else? I guess nothing else we need to change. So let's create the blog by adding the block action to the element, and this will be shop categories. And it will go into our custom shop category. Okay, export it in. Okay, and now we got a problem. So the WordPress action on block definition, shop categories. So what does it mean? Okay, it means that non-block actions, so that means show categories, it's a non-block action. Block actions are block attributes, block inner content. So they should not be placed like other actions, like all the rest of WordPress actions or WooCommerce actions, should not be placed on the element that has the block action. Okay? So what can we do? Create a wrapper element with the block action, and then keep the rest of WordPress actions on where they are now on the section. So okay, let's take a look. So we have two actions defined on the same element. One is show categories, and that's like non-block action. It's not block attributes, it's not block inner content, it's like regular WordPress or WooCommerce action. And on the same element we also define the block. And that causes some kind of issues. It's very hard to properly export such code, and that's why Pinegrow enforces this rule that these actions should not be mixed on the same element. And the suggested solution is also simple. So we just need a wrapper element. Look, let's insert a div here. The easiest is sometimes just to do it like that. And then we will move the section into the div. And then let's remove the block action, but first let's copy it. This is the icon, copy action to clipboard. Copy, remove, and then go to div and paste, Command V, paste the block action here. Now we have the block action on different element than the show categories action. So we added a wrapper with the block action. Let's export. And let's try the block. Reload, let's find it. Where is it? Shop categories. Done, and here they are. Our top categories are now displayed in this block. And let's add some editable attributes. For example, the title. That should definitely be editable. So block attributes, title, Okay, that's easy. So what else? Show categories. Could we do something here? For example, if we maybe make parent ID editable, let's try that. So let's create, let's add the block attribute, parent, category, and I guess we have to probably pass in the ID. Not sure if it will work with Slack. So let's try. We will try. And use as none, of course, because we don't want to display it here. And then what parent? So we will say block parent. Okay. Let's try. What will happen? Okay, so now we have the block properties. Let's try, for example, 17 is the ID of the accessories. And it has two subcategories, belts and caps. How about if we use slugs? So slugs are also supported, so we can rename this field. And then let's change the title. Fancy stuff. And update. So let's go back to PineGrow and change the category. This can be either ID or it can be a slug, because PineGrow, we take a peek under the hood, so we are using a helper function that takes care of the parameter. So if it gets ID, then it uses the ID, but if it gets slug, then it looks up the term and gets the ID from there. So this helps us to make our blocks and our queries more flexible. Okay, what else can we do? One issue is that if we don't enter anything, then we don't, the whole section simply disappears. And to avoid that, we can create a default value for the attribute. So it should be 0, so that if we don't enter any information, we get all top categories returned. Okay, so that's quite useful, but what about the situation where we would want to hand pick the categories we want to show?